Hello, Gregg for Online Tennis Instruction. Welcome to the second video of our three-part Roger Federer Forehand series. We're going to take a look at how Roger uses his body to generate power on his forehand. As he sets up for the ball, notice how his left arm is fully extended about shoulder height and parallel to the baseline. Both hands are on the right side of his body, on the same side as where he'll be contacting the ball. Now, as you look at his lower body, both legs are bent as he coils by turning his shoulders past his hips. By turning his shoulders past his hips, he creates stretch in the muscles across his trunk. As he begins to swing towards contact, notice how his hips and then his shoulders start to rotate forward. Now, if we freeze it at the contact point, see how his right leg, which is his ankle leg, is now fully extended. So his body has now lifted at contact, and his hips and shoulders have rotated through. His head is famously very still, with his eyes focused at the contact point. This helps him prevent his head from lifting and also helps maintain his balance. Now, if we look at what happens after contact, notice how his upper body remains very still, his head and shoulders barely move as his arm continues through the contact zone. Let's watch that again. Now that the ball is far away from him, he then begins to decelerate his swing and release across his body. His shoulders then rotate all the way through as his leg now comes around as a natural release. But it's important to note the sequence in which this happens. He first completes his swing, then his body rotates all the way through as a result of the forces acting on his body. Now let's take a look at Roger hitting in a neutral stance. He is set up with both hands on the right side of his body. His left arm is fully extended and parallel to the baseline. This is a higher ball, but notice how his body starts to uncoil as his hips and shoulders start to rotate forward. Now at contact, his left leg, now his ankle leg, is fully extended as his body lifts upwards towards contact. Now keep in mind there are times when his body may not lift. This may occur on lower balls or when he is stretched and keeping his center of gravity low to maintain balance. Again, we will see all the similar fundamentals here as he makes contact with the ball. His head remains still. He accomplishes this by fixing his eyes at the contact point. The rest of his body barely moves as his arm continues from his shoulder, extending out along his hitting zone towards his target. Now we will see when the ball is far away from him, he has completed his swing and starts to decelerate. This is when his rear leg and his shoulders will begin to rotate all the way around. Let's watch that again and observe how this happens after the completion of the shot as a result of the forces acting on his body rather than a deliberate move. Now let's turn our attention to his non-dominant arm, his left arm. He starts with it extended along the baseline. Now as he swings towards contact, his left arm bends and he keeps it in front of his body, preventing him from opening his shoulders too early. This allows him to generate more racket head speed. By stopping the left side of his body at this point, it momentarily stops his body from rotating at contact. The hitting arm then continues to accelerate and gain more speed. Lastly, let's take a look at Roger warming up. He is not swinging at full speed, so there are a lot less forces acting on his body, which helps us identify the fundamentals which can be very useful for players working on their forehand. We can see how he sets up first on the outside leg as he coils his body. There's a slight knee bend, which is usually much deeper when he is playing at full speed and in a match. Both hands are on the right side of his body, with his left arm parallel to the baseline. His body starts to uncoil. At contact, his front leg is straightening as his body lifts. Notice how his eyes are fixed at the contact point, helping him to keep his head down, maintain his balance, which also helps prevent his upper body from leaning backwards. His left arm is bent and in front of his body. This allows him to stop the left side of his body from rotating as the right shoulder and hitting arm gains more speed and extends out towards his target. Let's observe his shoulders and notice how they pretty much remain still all the way through his contact point, until the point where he completes his swing as it decelerates across his body. Now you will see how he catches his racket in his left hand. This is a great way to help you train your left hand in what to do and prevent it from continuing behind you, which can cause the shoulders to open up too early. Notice how he's completely balanced. He's up on his back toe, so all the weight has been transferred onto his front foot. But also this indicates that the hips have rotated through. You can see how his knees, hips, and shoulders are almost in line with one another. Thank you for watching the second part of our Roger Federer Forehand series. In the next video, we'll talk about Roger's swing and show you how he generates a lot of power by creating lag, which we have termed the late hitting concept. Thank you for watching.